All right, everybody, I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both published by Simon & Schuster Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Gene Wolfe's fifth book in his Book of the New Sun. Book number 5 here is called The Urth of the New Sun. Came out in 1987, so I think book 1 came out in 1980, and 2, 3, 4, and 5. All the way up to 1987, we get book number 5. We always talk about the covers, because you know I love graphic design and cover art and illustration, so let's go over this cover first. First of all, I gotta say that the first 4 books in the series all had these great Don Maitz illustrations that were just fabulous. First 4 books in the series, keep in mind. Don Maitz illustrations. Book number 5, we get some sort of an awful shit mix of garbage and bullshit. And I hated this. I hate this cover. I don't know who designed it. But, you know, why didn't they just go with the Don Maitz look for the rest? I don't know why they changed it up. I mean, they've got all of these great Don Maitz paintings. Another great Don Maitz painting. For books 2, 3. Then book 4, they kind of get a little wonky by putting a weird blue border around the Don Maitz painting. Then in book 5, they just abandon the Don Maitz paintings altogether and go with this damn bullshit. Try to edit all that swearing out. Anyway, why no Don Maitz? Ugh. You know, I've got all of the series here. I just showed it to you. So we got the whole series there. And then up here on this shelf, we've got all of my other Gene Wolfe books. So we will be reviewing the rest of his catalog soon. Let's talk about The Urth of the New Sun. Despite its horrific, horrid cover. Now, actually, this isn't a bad cover had all the books gone with this theme. It's just when you start a theme, stick with it, assholes! Severian, he is the torturer, the guy that got kicked out of the Torturers Guild in book 1. Now, books 1 through 4, Severian is, this is very important that I set this up for book 5. Severian is wandering this medieval version of a far future Earth where some sort of catastrophe in time have destroyed Earth to the point where we're now living back in the Middle Ages, okay? And it's no longer spelled Earth like Earth, it's spelled Earth like this. U-R-T-H. And it's basically a feudalistic medieval society with swords and battle axes and crossbows. But once in a while, there's a pistol laying around, or some sort of technology from the far past. And then once in a while, there's even weird modes of transport, like Luke Skywalker's land speeder will cruise by, and sometimes they'll get on it and ride it. And so it's got like this very bizarro, wonky, medieval fantasy tale / science fiction dystopian thing. And then, once in a while, the characters look up at the sky and see what appears to be starships flying overhead. So now in book 5, books 1 through 4 are leading up to this idea that Severian, this torturer who's been kicked out of the Torturers Guild and is now wandering the Earth like Cain, just in adventure after an adventure, is supposed to be this Messiah reborn. He's going to be this new sun. They call it the new sun. And he's going to be the savior of humanity. In fact, he starts to but he starts to perform miracles much like that are in the Bible. And so people are believing it. Well, in book 5, we open up, not on Earth, but we open up right out of the gate on a starship, like a huge starship. Not only, but in the way Gene Wolfe describes the starship, he's describing it through Severian's eyes, which fills the reader with even a larger sense of wonder, because Severian is describing this to the reader through his medieval eyes. You know what he knows, he can't really wrap his mind around where he's at. he knows it's a starship. He just doesn't know how to describe what he's seeing a lot to the readers. So it fills the reader with this incredible sense of wonder of like, what would it be like to be a medieval person suddenly on a starship flying to another sun? And a lot of the people that are on this starship have been born on this starship, and they are very fascinated with him because he was born on a planet. And they're like, it's very rare for them to run into people that are born on planets, because their whole society is built around them living and growing up on this starship. And now they've got this guy Severian with them, along with some other people from Earth. The plan is still in place for Severian to be the new sun, to be the Messiah. And the starship is taking them to the planet of Yesod. And not only that, but it's kind of moving backwards in time. And right from the get-go, we find out we're on a starship, looking at it through Severian's eyes. And then we've got he's beset by assassins immediately, because not only do people on that starship not want him to succeed in his quest to become the new sun, but there's a lot of people that came from Earth with him onto the starship, and they don't want him to succeed. So there's a lot of stuff that happens right off the get-go with assassins and things like that. And then we just move back into time, and then we get back to Earth, and Severian is, I mean, it's just a very, honest to God, folks, I have no idea what I just read. That's how crazy. I'm going to have to read this whole series about 2 or 3 times before I think I can grasp it. And I think that every single person that's ever read this series would tell you the same thing, that you read 5 books and you still don't know what it was. What did I actually read? Because everything is so allegorical and vague and seen through the eyes of these medieval characters that can't really describe time travel or starship travel or even the environments they're walking through. And so it's like a clockwork funhouse puzzle that you have to put together in your mind. And I think that Gene Wolfe's excellent prose and writing really carry this story in a ways that you normally wouldn't put up with books like this that are just so, out there. I mean, this is like acid trip shit stuff. I mean, seriously, people. And so, I mean, normally you just wouldn't put up with it. But Gene Wolfe is such a great writer that his prose drags you in, and you can't help but not be just floored by how great of a writer is. But then the story itself has got enough action and adventure in it to propel itself beyond a lot of the puzzles that you've got to figure out. And so sometimes you're just reading it because it's a great action scene and things are going on and there's assassins chasing each other and then this, that, and the other. But then you're like, what happened? I don't know what happened. I mean, this guy, what happened at the end? I mean, where did it go? Time travel? And then he's revisiting scenes from the past 4 books. And it's wild. I can't describe it other than I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I don't know why. I loved every minute of my confusion and bafflement. And maybe that's sometimes you're not in the mood for that type of book. But for some reason this spring, as I read through all 5 of these, I was in the mood and I loved it. So that's why I gave in all of these really high rankings. I give The Urth of the New Sun a 9.5 out of 10. A great, interesting, surprising, bizarro wrap-up to a great and interesting and surprising and bizarro series overall.